Hello, friends. Hey, family. This is such a huge moment for St. John Center. It is a celebratory occasion. It is an emotional occasion. So please bear with us, right, as we sort through years of deep emotions, because we are about to house some of the people who have been looked over and have been unseen and unhoused for far too long. We made it here today with a whole lot of support. So it feels good, right, to be before you, but know that I am just a reflection of a lot of good people, a lot of people who have worked really hard, who dreamed bold so that we could be here today, and I'm honored to do that. LDG has developed this beautiful site for us, and we are so grateful and we are proud of the work that you guys continue to do in our community to make affordable housing available where there's not enough. The site was developed by LDG. It has been built by expert, designed by Studio A, Rick House. There's so many people who've poured into this. These are also people that we have driven crazy over the last year, right? So we apologize, but sorry, not sorry, because we knew what we were fighting for, and thank you for being here with us. Thank you for saying yes to doing the hard thing of building housing. Again, that is affordable, and that is designed for the people who are not attractive, right, for a landlord to rent to. I have a speech here, but I'm just going my own way because this morning I woke up and I prayed for the right words, because I knew everybody who's here with us doesn't necessarily understand, right, what we are doing when we are building supportive housing for the people, when we say that are hardest to house. And then some people understand it, but they still don't support it. And so I asked for the words to change the hearts and minds, right, of those individuals. And instead of the words, right, what came to me were faces of the people who deserve to live here and who are going to live here in their stories. One of them I seen yesterday in the day shelter, and he was anxious, right? He was nervous. He was mad, right? He was fighting back tears because what he said was, I feel like this is happening all over again. I've filled out applications hundreds of times. For 3 years, I have been doing this over and over, and every time somehow I keep getting left out. Is it because of this? Is it because of this? And I asked him for just another moment. I said, would you trust us, right? We have you, and soon you will be able to move home. And what he said is what we believe. And he said, I deserve to have a home too. That's why we're here today, right? Another face. Thank you. Thank you. Another face, and this, a woman. This housing will be housing for men and women, adults. No families or children will be able to live here, but there's more than enough need, right, amongst that group of people. There is a lady, a woman. She's beautiful and spunky and charismatic, and she's gonna live here. And she is someone who our outreach team has spent a lot of time, right, working with. They've poured into her, trying to help her heal, because she has been hurt in the most vile ways. And so even when they have been able to find housing for her, she can't maintain the housing because she doesn't trust the people around her, right? Nobody's been there to support her, to remind her how to build relationships when there's been so much hurt there. No one's been there to teach her how to help manage those hard relationships with neighbors, because neighbors can take you there, right? And the last time I seen her, she had been evicted from her last housing solution. And again, the outreach team worked hard to find it, but it wasn't enough for her because the trauma that she has lived through has left her with behavioral health needs where she needs more support around her in order to maintain the housing. The last time I seen her, she was in the middle of the street, and she had flipped, right? She was scared, right? She felt alone, and she was throwing her things out of a basket, frustrated to have her things back in a basket after she had just got back into housing. And she said, I need you to help me get back home. All right. She's going to live here, and she is the person that we are building this for. So that is what was on my heart this morning and what I wanted to share with you. The people that we are providing housing for. Thank you. Yes. They are somebody's kids, right? They're somebody's brothers and sisters, and they are all worthy of a safe place to call home that they can afford, right? Another thing, oftentimes people believe that when we say permanent supportive housing, that we're just giving out handouts, right? And that's also not it. Permanent supportive housing is housing that people can afford, so that if somebody is living on a fixed income, which will be the case for most of the people that live here, what they are asked to pay for rent is not too much, right? They still have enough to go and buy groceries or go to the movies or take someone on a date or do whatever that people like to do when they have the money to do it, right? That is what permanent supportive housing is. We provide support. Our staff and team will be here 24/7, along with a lot of partners who have been with us in this work, both in our day shelter, in the outreach. Legal Aid is here. They have been with us through and through, right? Dare to Care, the VA, so many partners who have been a part of the supportive services that we provide through all of our programs will also be here with us. And together we are creating a safety net so that the people who have had the longest paths to get back into housing, so that we can put the support around them so that they can stay housed, right? So that they can be good tenants and so that they can pay no more than 30% of their income, which is what all of us deserve, right? It's what all of us need. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to go back to my speech for a moment because there's so many people that I do need to thank. So this building, make sure I got all of my initial people out. But this building, it's not just a building, it is a community. It's staffed 24/7 with our partners who you just heard me mention. There are other partners. Phoenix Healthcare is going to provide medical services here. Again, so the people who have the highest level of need, people who are medically fragile, don't have to go too far to get immediate medical care. They're going to provide some services here as needed. Arthur Street Hotel, they've been huge helping us get people stabilized so that we can move them into housing. It takes time to find IDs and to fill out paperwork. They've been huge in that, and we hope that they will continue to do that for us. People to thank, right? The people who helped pay for this building, Louisville Metro government, thank you. We wouldn't have been here without the advocacy of the Coalition for the Homeless. Thank you. I love me some Coalition for the Homeless. I don't see them, but I am both a proud board member of the Coalition, and St. John Center is a member agency at the Coalition. And what they do is that they amplify our work so that when the city, right, says we need housing and then millions of dollars fall into our hands, they can go to our elected officials and say, look, permanent supportive housing is a solution and it pays off. There's a good return on investment. And so they did that. And that is how we got the money to build this building, the first part of the money, right? Because they asked, our elected officials responded. So many elected officials to thank. It's so hard. You always forget someone, but there really are so many people. Congressman McGarvey, the former Congressman Yarmouth, we wouldn't have made it here without them. They gave us some extra funds from HUD so we could close the gap. HUD itself, right, is a big part of our operating. They're going to help us pay those rents, right, so we can fill in the gaps for people. KHC, who you're going to hear from today, and I'm a big fan of that work that KHC is doing. So many people to be thankful to. Enterprise is our investor and sponsored us being here today. US Bank. I think I got most of the funding partners, but there are so many people. Again, please charge it to my full heart and not my mind if I forget to shout you out. I also have to say thank you to I see some funders who don't want to be named in the crowd. Thank you. You know what you've done. Also have to say thank you to the St. John Center staff, because all of the people who are going to live here, thank you. They rock, right? They are the best. The hard work that they do every day is sometimes thankless out in the streets, but here we know how valuable it is. Thank you guys for the heart that you hold, for being there for the people who need you, and sometimes having to put your own lives aside to support people who need a bit more. To our board of directors has provided amazing leadership through this, both current and former board members. One of the proudest moments is is when we were doing tours with our volunteers, whom we have so many, 257 of these amazing people help us do our work. But one of the proudest moments is when we were showing all of those people the building and watching their hearts and their eyes fill with tears because we knew that this is what we needed, but we didn't know how we would get here. So again, thank you guys for helping us get here. I think I'll start to wrap up, but the thing I do want to tell you before I leave is that the land that we stand on, it is sacred land, and it does have a story of its own, because before we started to build here, there were people who were living here. They were living here in deep brushes, right? Hidden lives. They were camping, they were surviving, and unfortunately, some of them were dying, right? But our outreach team had been here. It was a space that we knew because they were providing services, which is what we do. We take the services that we provide in the day shelter to where people are living, so we go to them when they can't get to us and try to get IDs, socials, all those things to help you get into housing so that we can get them on a path to housing. We're doing that with the people who lived here, but the day that LDG called is a day we won't forget because it was so important, but it was heavy because they asked us to help clear the site, right? To help move the people who were living here away, which is hard to do, right? But we had the opportunity to clear the site with Grace and Dignity, which is our brand. And it was important that we did that again, because while some people were surviving here, people had died. And one of them was a man named Robert Eckert. I don't know if his brother's with us, but shortly after we broke ground, which was just a year ago, right? So shout out again to LDG and Expert for moving with a sense of urgency. His brother called and wanted us to know about his life, right? And his loss, and another life that was lost to homelessness. We honor Robert's life and so many others in this space. This building is named after our founding director, Sister Kathleen Sheehan. Her sister is here with us, Eileen Sheehan. I told her she'd have to get over it because I didn't get the pleasure of meeting Sister Sheehan. So we're just gonna love on you and her beautiful niece. Thank you. And then her sisters from the Sisters of Charity Nazareth. So many here. Sister Pat is a legend at St. John Center, and also Sister Edna, and then Miss Charlotte. Oh, thank you guys so much for being here and letting us honor Sister Kathleen's life. When we come to cut the ribbon, I hope you will join us in some way. Plenty of people I've forgotten, but there's so many brilliant people who have brilliant things to say. I digress. I will let them share. Thank you guys for being here today. Oh. One of those brilliant people is one of our board members, also the COO of HPI. I'm just going to introduce you, he has held St. John Center's hand through this project. And he has also been a great friend and a great advocate on some of the hardest days. So I want to introduce you to some, right, and others. Just say hello to Gabe Fritz, who is a board member. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Gabe. And Gabe, I'm going to take one more second. I would never forgive myself if I did not shout out our board chair, Smith Rhodes, who is as fierce of a leader as they come, and has been volunteering before she was on the board. Wherever you are, Smith, thank you, and know we appreciate and love you.
Thank you. You got me crying before I even started talking. Good morning. Thank you so much for your attendance at this joyful occasion. I'm so honored to be here this morning in support of the indomitable Ray Martin and her incredible team. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to represent our board of directors, past and present, as part of the ribbon cutting celebration for this beautiful campus. There is so much hope here today. I can feel it. I'm sure you can as well. And behind all of that hope and excitement and optimism, there's a whole bunch of intention. Laser focused, relentless, unbounded intention. I do not believe in luck. Maybe I believe in good fortune, but I do not believe in luck. There's no such thing. Unless you define it as the convergence of preparation and opportunity. Now, that is something that I do believe in. And I also believe in hope. I suppose there are many ways to define hope, but for me, hope in this line of work could be seen as an effort to generate empathy and work towards solutions, or work towards empathy and generate solutions. 17 years ago, St. John's Center began providing scattered site permanent supportive housing services to address an unmet need, which was to figure out a way to house the most vulnerable people in our community, as identified by the Common Assessment Team, people that experience mental illness, high rates of trauma, and often one or more disabilities. So over the years, St. John's expanded those services and along with several other community partners, provided wraparound services in the form of permanent case management while providing access to housing opportunities across the community. And the results of this tireless work were impressive. There were very high retention rates for the people for whom they found housing, which gradually improved year over year as they continued to deliver this service. But in many ways, scattered site housing is an inefficient approach to service delivery because the housing and the services are not co-located. So as fantastic as the outcomes were, there was a desire to do more, to do better. There was hope draped in intentionality. So as their work in the community evolved, the organization also experienced growth and change. And several years ago, the board and the staff began early discussions around what was possible to create a better service delivery. And so the other day when we were walking through the nearly completed and partly furnished building with some past board members and staff, Jane Walsh, a former staff member, shared with me some of the conversations from a staff retreat around that time. And she said they asked themselves a singular question. What would we do if we were not afraid to fail? So first of all, what a profound question. What a perfect question that every organization should ask itself at some point in its development. Well, they identified 3 areas of need: workforce training, expanding volunteerism, and the creation of single-site supportive housing. And over the years, the staff, the team, the board worked to address these priorities. And I think that the initial target for the number of units was 12, and then maybe 15, and then maybe 20. But no one had ever developed a single-site permanent supportive housing solution in Kentucky. There was no precedent. But that seed of an idea germinated and remained as a strategic target for the organization over the subsequent years. And eventually, through conversations with Chris and his team at LDG, St. John's Center began to think big, like 80 units big. And when ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, which ushered an economic stimulus package, funds became available locally on the heels of the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic a few years ago, and there was advocacy to use a portion of those funds for permanent supportive housing, St. John's Center was prepared to seize the opportunity. Now, it took a lot of work by a lot of people in partnerships with the city and LDG and KHC and HUD and investors to make this place a reality. But it began with hope. The complexity of putting this project together, the first of its kind in the state, was challenging from the onset. But as the deal or the capital stack was being finalized, which all centered on the structure of the business execution, the St. John's team was just getting started. The care and the thought given to every aspect of this project by this staff and their partners was extraordinary. The intentionality was incessant. They reached out to national experts to research best practices in design and trauma-informed design to ensure that the living spaces that were constructed were built in a way that would not have unintended adverse impacts on the people that were going to live there. So that meant lots of natural light, open sight lines in the building and in the units. So visibility in every sense. Many, if not all, the closets don't have doors. right? There are security cameras located throughout the facilities and grounds and key fob access to the building for security. The color palette is neutral and warm for a reason. Surfaces and finishes are durable but aesthetically pleasing. The tile work on the walls around the elevators is especially notable. It's subtle, but it has these rich textures. You'll notice a lot of communal space on each floor as well, and grounds that will eventually have walking paths with bike racks and community gardens, and gazebos and benches and picnic tables and trees and landscaping and a dog park. And rest assured, when you support this campus through naming rights for the medical suite or an activity room or a laundry room or any of the side amenities that I just mentioned, know that each and every room in this building and each and every amenity on these grounds will contribute to an improved quality of life for the people that will call this place home. Every space matters, and every person that passes through those doors into Sheehan Landing matters. None of this would have been possible without decades of tireless work for all those that came before. So this is for Sister Mary Kathleen Sheehan. This is for Maria Price. This is for past board members and staff. This is for all the current staff, board members, organizational partners, and supporters. This special place is for all those that we have lost. It stands as a testament to them. This is for all those that we will help to save in part because of this place. Place matters and people matter. And Sheehan Landing is a shining example of how this community can come together in recognition of these two simple truths to ensure that 80 formerly unhoused citizens can have a place to call home and can become our neighbors. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Gabe, for your leadership. Speech, he mentioned some of the national expertise that we've gotten. I looked out in the audience and seen our friends from the Corporation for Supportive Housing. So before we started, KHC employed the Corporation for Supportive Housing to host the institute to teach us how to do this hard work. And some of our friends were there, the VOA, who has some units coming online, and Wellsprings. And so we did this learning institute together, but it was led by Corporation for Supportive Housing, and it was made possible because of the leadership at KHC. So thank you guys for all of that tutelage. Speaking of outstanding leadership at the state level, it's my pleasure to introduce to you guys our Lieutenant Governor, Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman. I believe she's here, right in front of me. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you all so much, and I appreciate your flexibility because, as you know, sometimes 64 is more of a parking lot than a highway, so we got here. But thank you all so much for having me here on what is a historic day for St. John Center, LDG Development, and the citizens of Louisville. I have such deep admiration for what St. John Center and their staff do every single day because for almost 40 years, your mission of addressing the barriers our homeless community faces has led your impactful work. So on behalf of Governor Beshear, of myself, and of Team Kentucky, thank you for leading in this crucially important area. And to my friends at LDG Development, I know that we've done a few of these events together, so thank you for working to make our community better. And as I hear our folks speaking today, and I think about what this project means, I can't help but think about what an exciting time it is to be a Kentuckian. You know, we have been able to secure over $35 billion worth of economic investments across Kentucky, creating over 60,000 good paying jobs all across this Commonwealth. And it didn't happen in a vacuum, and it didn't happen overnight. We have so many folks from local organizations to our local leaders, state agencies and partners, all the way up to the federal government, coming together to work on the challenges that face Kentuckians. But those economic development investments obviously have to have other things that come along with them. And it doesn't matter whether I am in Louisville or in Letcher County. Every single community I visit says, we've got an affordable housing issue. What can we do? And this is also not just a Kentucky problem. This is a problem that every community across this country is facing. But what I love about Kentucky is that we don't back down. And when we see a challenge, we join together, we bring people to the table, and we say, how can we tackle this problem together? So I'm so proud to see all of these organizations coming together, putting aside any differences that may be there for the greater good. Because just as we believe healthcare is a basic human right, and that we want every Kentuckian to have a good paying job, we also want to make sure that those Kentuckians have a nice, safe, affordable place that they can call home. And that is what today is all about. So I want to thank you all for putting your money where your mouth is, for investing in housing solutions, and know that we're working on this all across Kentucky. And as we put our differences aside and recognize that a good home, a place to call home is not right or left or Democrat or Republican. It is truly about meeting our people where they are and helping them to get to where they want to be. I want to say thank you for that vision, for that commitment, and to let you know that Team Kentucky is with you all the way. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor. That was wonderful. To putting our money where our mouths are, but also where our hearts are, right? Thank you so much. Another leader that I have the honor to introduce today is our mayor. Thank you so much for being here. Mayor Craig Greenberg, if you would join us.
Well, Ray, I'm going to take a page out of your book because you've inspired me and this project has inspired me. And so leaving the notes at my table and just telling you what I'm thinking. And what I'm thinking is that we have great momentum in our city right now. Look at this crowd of people that are coming together because they support more affordable housing all across our city. This is wonderful. You know, as mayor, I hear and see a lot of plans every day, and almost all of them are good ideas, good plans. But the ones I love, the ones I focus on, is when you have partners that you know can make things happen. Partners like St. John's, led by Ray and her amazing team. Partners like LDG, Chris and Lisa Dissinger and their team. People that are doing this for the right reason, that can come together with the support of the state, with the support of the city, with the support of so many others, and make things like this project happen. 80 new homes for individuals that need our support in this community. This is wonderful. So my question is, where do we go from here? And the good news is, with the momentum of projects like this, I think we're going in the right direction. There is so much momentum to build more affordable housing, more housing, period, of all types all across this city. And so let's capitalize on this inspiring opening. Let's capitalize on this inspiring time. The city needs to step up. The state needs to step up. The private sector needs to step up. We all can and will. Just 2 weeks ago, I see that we have several members of our General Assembly here that are with us here today. I saw Representative Whitten, Representative Callaway, Representative Hodgson, Representative Nemus. There might be others. If I've left you out, I apologize. I just have not seen you yet. But they and their colleagues passed some legislation 2 weeks ago that give us new tools in Louisville to build more housing of all types, particularly in our urban core. They changed some new incentive programs. They changed some new ways that we can do bonding so that we can build more housing. We can build more single-family homes. We can build more apartments. We can build more condos. We can build more duplexes, and we can build more permanent supportive housing, right like we are here today. So let's take advantage of this moment in time, when the state and the city and the private sector and the nonprofit community are working well together, are focused on common goals to build more housing in our community so we can help people like the 80 people that are going to call this new place home. Thank you all very much, and let's keep going.
Thank you, Mayor Greenberg. We definitely need more housing, right? And one of the challenges since we've made it clear what we were doing here is that the phone at the day shelter has not stopped ringing, right? People saying, how can I move into Sheehan Landing? Some of our volunteers know. And it's hard, right? Because there's more people than we have housing that is aligned with their income. So thank you for those words and your leadership. As we were mentioning, some of our state representatives was here. I was also made aware that Representative Carney was here as well. Thank you for being with us. Yes. Another leader that I get to introduce today. One, guys, I didn't know I was going to be emceeing today, so I hope I'm doing okay. I'm having a good time. So, bear with me. I have antidotes for days. But another leader that I have the pleasure to introduce and has been really good to get to meet is Charles President, who is our Kentucky Field Director at HUD, right? And we know HUD has a lot of hard work ahead and to do. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and we welcome you up. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be here with you all today as we celebrate the opening of Sheehan Landing. I'm proud to say that it's Kentucky's first single-site supportive housing facility. Usually when I am, traveling throughout the Commonwealth, one of the questions I pose, and maybe sometimes someone asks me, is can we have more permanent supportive housing for unhoused? So I'm so proud to see that that is happening here in the state today, and I know that it will be the first of many to come. Today, we're not just cutting a ribbon. We're opening new doors to opportunity, safety, and stability for the 80 individuals who deserve a chance to rebuild their lives. HUD is proud to support Sheehan Landing through the Continuum of Care and Emergency Solution Grants programs with nearly $3 million in funding from our community project funding and from the COC. This facility will provide more than just a roof over the heads of its residents. It will offer the services and resources that they need to regain their independence, heal, and thrive. This property is a testament to the power of permanent housing and wraparound services. It's not just a building, it's a place where people can rebuild their lives and create a brighter future for the residents. This facility represents hope, stability, and the chance for a fresh start. Another thing that usually happens is I get the opportunity in my job to brag a lot. And I'll be sure to be bragging about this property to so many of my partners in other states. I'm sure that this property will also pose as someone where I will be sending everyone to talk to Ms. Ray now to see how they did it here so they can repeat it elsewhere, not just in the Commonwealth, but in other parts of the United States, especially our Southeast Region 4 of HUD. I also want to take the time to recognize our HUD Community Planning and Development team from HUD. They are here with me somewhere. You can wave your hands. But thank you so much for your hard work. They will be the ones who monitor the grants and make sure that the rents are paid here and that we continue to sustain this project. Again, thanks to everyone involved in bringing Sheehan Landing to life. And it will not only change the lives of the residents, but will create a lasting positive impact on the community as a whole. Congratulations again, and let's get to transforming lives. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. That you're right. This is not just a solution for St. John Center. It's not just a solution for our clients and future residents. This is a solution for our full community. Right? Again, we are taking the people who have been the hardest to find housing. These are the people who are sleeping in front of the businesses, right? These are the people who might be sleeping in your park, right? And the answer is, if we don't want people, right, in our public access ways, let's give them a place to go. So here's a solution to that. Cheers to solutions. Thank you, Lisa. I see you you, girl. Before I move on with our next speaker, who I'm a huge fan of, there's so many elected officials amongst us. I see our Councilwoman Barbara Shanklin here. Thank you. We are building in this district, Council District 2. Thank you, Councilwoman, for allowing us to be here. Can I just ask all the elected officials to stand so I don't forget anybody else? Some of you are already standing, so just raise your hand so your constituents can see that you're here. All right. Okay. The next person that I have the pleasure to introduce, she is so smart. She's the definition of girl boss, but she's getting things done at the state. And I love me some Wendy Smith. Thank you for gracing us with your brilliance and your tutelage at the state level, but also here today. Please come join us, Miss Wendy. Yes.
So Ray and I have elected each other fans of our respective fan clubs. I mean, presidents of our respective fan clubs. So, thanks. I'm really proud to be here today. I'm really proud of this property. I'm proud of all the partners involved. I want to say what I'm most proud about. Kentucky Housing Corporation has a lot of tax-exempt bonds and associated tax credits that funded this. We do that all the time. I'm really proud of that. But what I'm more proud of is after the American Rescue Plan Act passed in 2021, we moved really quickly at Kentucky Housing Corporation to get a plan into HUD, get it approved, so we could get access to what are called home ARP funds. And one of the first things we did was engage a national professional consultant, nonprofit organization called the Corporation for Supportive Housing, to help us at KHC, but also to help partners across the state learn how to do this. Because getting it built is really damn hard and expensive. Operating it successfully over time with services, even harder. And we knew we didn't know how to make that happen. We didn't even know how to underwrite these projects because they're not like regular projects. And I feel like that was our ace in the hole, is getting that help ourselves, but also we did what was called the Supportive Housing Institute 2 years in a row, 2022, 2023, where development teams, in this case, Ray, I think it was Ramona, came together for, I think it was 6 months in person, learning how to do underwriting, learning how to do service plans, and learning what their roles are and how to understand it. Our aim was to build the capacity in Louisville, but across the state, for this kind of supportive housing, because Kentucky needs 200,000 plus more housing units for people across all income ranges. The greatest need is people earning less than 30% of area median income, so very significantly low income folks. And Corporation for Supportive Housing helped us estimate that we need roughly 6,500 units like this, like Sheehan Landing, across the state. We need a lot of this. Why? Because homelessness, while there are a lot of personal factors that lead someone to become homeless, the structural issue is they don't have somewhere affordable to live. And housing is the solution to homelessness. Housing. So KHC has a relatively small role in this very big deal today, but we're really proud of it, and we're proud of everybody who made this happen. And I just want to say this is an example of good government at many levels, of public-private partnership, right? A for-profit developer and a not-for-profit service organization. These things are hard, but they can happen. So don't get cynical, because this stuff works when everybody gets to it. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wendy. We also believe that housing is the solution to homelessness. Thank you for sharing that. And someone else who knows it and has invested in it, and again, is a big reason why we are here today, are our friends at LDG. Before I introduce the man and the legend, I want to shout out some of our LDG, our day ones, right? As Wendy said, we did this institute together. Ramona Vasta has been there with us day one. Thank you, Ramona. Michael Gross and all his brilliance. has been there with us. Elijah, we have driven Elijah crazy. Thank you guys. Thank you, Chris, for allowing us to lean on your team to get this done. Thank you, Lisa, for all you guys have done. I would like to introduce you guys to Chris, right? You guys know Chris, to Chris Dissinger, but welcome him up to the stage. Thank you.
Man, what a great day. It's funny. I can remember back to Maria calling me and saying, hey, we've got to figure this out. And the first conversations were 10 or 12 units. I was like, but we need 24-hour care. And I'm like, I love that idea, except, it's hard to make 24-hour help available for 10 or 12 residents. And so it progressed, and I can just remember driving around the country, different places I was, and my phone kept ringing, and we just kept working on it. And St. John's had this idea, and LDG had this idea to help, and then magically, the ARPA money came, and the city of Louisville stepped up, and everybody else who stepped up to make this happen, Enterprise and U.S. Bank and my team at LDG, it's just amazing that all kind of came together at the same time. But I'd be remiss, I've always been a housing person. So we've been in housing for 30 years. My partner, Mark Lechner, who's always stood behind me and supported the crazy ideas I come with. We've always been about housing and how do we create more housing. And I've always said, if I had one wish, it would be create a whole bunch of housing, because that does solve affordability problems, economic development problems, family problems, health problems. All those things are based on your home. But when it comes to the neediest people, there's one lady that really, sort of put this in my head and said, we've got to do that. That's my wife, Lisa. Lisa spent 10 years working with a psychiatrist in his office. And what she taught me was that, there are people that have breaks in their lives. They have problems that hit them, mental health issues and these kind of things. But they're not garbage. They just have a problem and they need a little help. And in addition to Sheehan Landing and being involved in this, she'll say I got us into it, but I'd really say she got us into establishing the Arthur Street Hotel as a place where we can bring people off the streets and get them stable. And it's amazing if somebody is given a chance how they will step up. But it's hard to wake up every morning, on a cold ground without resources, without an ID, without those kind of things. And so what I'm really excited about with the opening of this is my understanding that 13 people are going to move from the Arthur Street Hotel to here. Housing's an ecosystem. So, you know what? That tent on the ground is maybe where you start, and that's not the greatest place. And the Arthur Street Hotel is a place to go and get stable. Now you got a home here. But it's really all the way up. It is important to build market rate housing. It is important. We need more single family homes. We need more of all kinds of housing in all areas of our community. And I know the mayor, I see him smiling over there. He's been a big supporter of this. And Metro Council, I want to thank them for their involvement in this project too. As some of you may know, I don't always get along with Metro Council. But that's all right. I was once told, not necessarily here, but was once told by somebody, well, my constituents want this, my constituents want that. I said, well, my constituents want a place to live and a place to raise their family, a place to be. So only thing I'll just leave you with is it's all of our responsibility. Each one of us every day, if you'll think about what can we do to help. I liked what somebody said earlier about what would you do if you weren't afraid to fail. great line. You know, what would we do as a community if we weren't afraid to fail? We can make a difference. Each one of us can make a difference every day. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris and Lisa, for pushing Chris to say yes, maybe when he wasn't tempted to do so. And absolutely, as somebody who's received a call from Maria Price, she certainly has a way of convincing us to say yes. It happened to me about 3 years ago, so I'm very grateful that I did. I hope you will be grateful that you did as well. Someone I'm very excited to introduce you to and want to thank him for sharing his journey with us today is somebody who has trusted St. John Center and allowed us to be a part of his support system and will soon be living here, right, at Sheehan Landing. And we'll look forward to being his neighbor and just being a part of his team. And we want to introduce you to Mr. William S. King. Thank you so much, William.
Good afternoon. My name is William Civic King. I came here to Kentucky about 2019, and I was homeless. I had a job. I had a job and everything, but now I'm home. I was sleeping on the streets. I had a hotel room every once in a while, but nothing else. During one of my internet searches, I found St. John's Center. At first, I only used the center for showers, mail. I was hesitant to ask anybody for help. For 6 months, I did this. I struggled alone. Then I met Tom, who started talking to me about housing and encouraged me to take the next step. With his support and guidance, I started the process, paperwork, meetings, and being patient. Then one day, I walked into St. John's Place and heard the word that changed my life. I had been accepted to the housing program. October 2022, I moved into my very first apartment here in Kentucky. Now I have a place to call home. It has transformed my life in ways I can't fully express. I no longer worry about where I will sleep, if I will freeze to death in the winter, or where my next meal will be. Without the support of St. John's, I might not be here today. I might be in jail, or I might not be here at all. 2 years ago, I had a triple bypass surgery, a procedure that likely saved my life. Most recently, my diabetes took my right leg and changed my life dramatically. Despite these challenges, I remain independent, but I also know I'm not alone. The support from St. John Center team is vital to my recovery and adjustment to my new reality. Though St. John Center, I have steps to support systems that help me find food, clothing, medical care, and other resources to navigate life's problems. And now moving into Sheehan Landing will further enhance my life, offering me stable, security, and hopes for my future. I am grateful for St. John Center and its amazing compassion staff who went above and beyond call of duty. Their work is not just appreciated, it is essential. Because of them, people like me are not just seen as statistics. We are welcomed. We are valued. We are treated with dignity. So when you see somebody on the street pushing a cart with all they own, a sleeping bag, a tent on the sidewalk, I ask you to pause for a moment. Don't make no assumptions. Every person has a story. Every person has a past. And the truth is, any one of us could find ourselves in that situation. One missed paycheck, one unexpected tragedy. That's all it takes. To our donors, organizations, and supporters working to end homelessness in Louisville, thank you for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, William, for sharing that with us. And you are 100% right? It only takes one loss, right? One crisis, and too many people find themselves unhoused and unseen because of some tragic loss. Thank you for sharing that with us today. Thank you for allowing St. John Center to be a part of your team. We look forward to being a part of many more people's support systems and helping other people thrive and find the comforts that they deserve, the dignity that we all deserve at home. So thank you guys all for being here today. Thank you, LDG, for letting me MC. Yeah, this was cool. And I think we are gonna, I'm gonna turn it over to Christy Lanier Robinson, and we're gonna welcome some people up because I think we're gonna cut a ribbon. It's high time. So thanks, guys.
Ready? One, on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.